Hello everyone, this is LT here. A quick guide today on market, and this is mainly aimed at beginners, so it's going to be a lot of fundamental information. If you're experienced at a journal, you're not going to learn much from this, but if you're a beginner, I hope you do learn something from this. And so first off, I'm just going to go into a quick agenda, what we're going to talk about in this quick video. First up, just a quick introduction to markets in general, and then a brief overview of each merchant and smuggler. And there, with also the defining differences between the two types, and then also some additional things to note about the markets and the merchants. So we'll go into the introduction here. First thing we have about the markets is, to get the market to appear, you just have to put a merchant in your deck, and then that will make the market appear in the UI interface as such here. You just click on the little tent area of the UI there with the 05, and you'll be in the market. The market is a zone, like the void, or the in hand, or on the battlefield or playmat, or whatever you call that. So it has certain properties, and things can be shifted to that zone, much like being shifted to the void as such. And maximum cards for the market is always 5, so you can have less than 5 cards, but you can never have more than 5 cards. Cards shifting to the market don't reset any abilities such as Infiltrate or Berserk, but the stat buffs are retained. So if you get a card from the field back into your hand with a stat buff on it and it gets into the market, it will have that stat buff in the market, pretty sure. And the market can be previewed in game by clicking the market button. So this is useful if you're in a match and maybe you're playing a new deck, or even if you're not playing a new deck and you just want to have a squiz at the market before you drop your merchant and you're sure you're going for something. Just have a quick squiz at your market. One thing to note is that when you do enter your market, the market cards are placed in a random order. I believe this is because it's running off the script for another mechanic, so it's shuffling the selection every time you open it. So don't get too used to thinking a card is in a certain position and clicking it too fast, because they are completely randomized. When you open up your market, you can have to take half a second to have a look at what card you're picking, because if you look, especially if you're looking in the market preview before, like we're talking about now, it's not going to be in the same position, or the likelihood is that it's not going to be in the same position. And that's the little market button there in game. And so the first group of merchants we have here are just called merchants. And I'm just calling them that because that's what they have in their name. And these are the first ones to come out. And so I'm just going to, in no particular order, go through them and talk about them a little bit. So this one has a decent stat base, Overwhelm. This one's useful in Praxis. Overwhelm can get some value out of a rally and such, but not overly played card. This one's popular in sometimes Skycrag and Elysian Mall. Definitely in Elysian Mall. But this is a decent card. Decent stat range. Body. And the Aegis is always nice. So one thing to note here is all the merchants are 3 mana. And then we have the Corendon Merchant with Deadly. This one is heavily played. Deadly is just quite useful, and shadow cards are good, so merchants played. Aurelion Merchant, this one is also heavily played because of their ramping wild market. A lot of ramp decks will run this, and it's a good blocker. So it does what ramp wants to do. Slows down the game and ramps you up. And the last normal merchant we have here is the Winchest Merchant, which does 2/2 with flying. So again, the average body of 2/2, but it's got flying. And this one is seen in decks such as Combrei Chains. And it's good with Talut, getting the flyover with the weapon and such. And so I have down here the type advantage for this type of merchants is that, so if you're singly using these merchants, then main cards are allowed in the deck. Main cards from the decks are allowed in the market. So that's obviously a completely different vibe to the next ones. And so the next set of merchants we have are the smugglers. And the type advantage here we have is you can choose from up to 2 different factions when choosing from the market. So you can fill up your market with more varied selection of cards, and you have a more varied selection of choice when you're pulling from the market. And so they're all 2 colors, and I'll go through them again in no particular order. First one we have here is the Hidden Road Smuggler. This one's very, very nice. 2/3 with live steel in the Argenport colors. Seen heavy play in a lot of decks. This one's also seen quite a bit, not as much as the others, but Ambush 2/2 Xenon, the Xenon Smuggler. Next up we have the Great Valley Smuggler, which is the Elysian one. 1/1 while you have a relic. I mean, I don't think the ability is that great, but the stat block is pretty good just to begin with, so can't complain there. And we have the Howling Peak Smuggler, which is the Skycrag one. This one it's not great, but it is nice. You can do a few combos with the spell damage, beefs up your snowball to 2 damage. You can put a Torrential Downpour in the market, which does one damage to all enemies and scouts. So with this and 5 mana, you can drop a 2 damage to all enemies and scout. So that's pretty decent, and you'll see quite a bit of that. And we have the Red Canyon Smuggler, which is probably arguably the best one. Double damage, 2/3. This one combos quite well with the Deep Forge Plate to get to 7/7 double damage overwhelm. And yeah, that's all the smugglers. So yeah, once again, the type advantage is you get to choose from 2 different factions. And so some extra things to note. First up we have here, in a market and a black market, multi-faction cards and cards of different factions can make up your market. So what I mean by this is, if you have, say you have a green market, you only have the green merchants, you can put a card in there that is, say, 2 blue influence, 2 green influence, because it has green influence. Cards pulled from the market must simply match one of the influence types compatible with your merchant or smuggler. So putting smugglers into a deck with the market turns it into a black market. So this is simply a tip for people that might get confused, and maybe they had a deck with a normal market and they wanted to add some smugglers to it, and then all of a sudden they realize, oh, it doesn't work. My extra maul in the market is telling me no. And it's because once you stick the smugglers in there, even if you just keep all cards of the same color in there, it's not going to let you do it, because as soon as you put smugglers in there, it becomes a black market. And another fact here is cards drawn from the market count as drawing a card. So this procs Inspire, Destiny, those kind of effects. So you can, that's how, for example, the Vodacom Taliyah combo works, where you drop a Taliyah and then you play a merchant from your void for free, because you draw it from the void that plays it, and then you market something, you draw that card from the market, and then it auto plays the Vodacon. So it counts as drawing a card. This also counts for obviously things such as the teacher puts the debuff on you, you draw a card with that debuff, it will cost more. So cards in the market don't count as in the deck. This is going back to the point of the zones. They're safe from effects such as Rain of Frogs. So say you have 3 of a certain card in your deck and you've got an extra one in your market, they can't Rain of Frogs the one in your market. They're not going to be able to target that one. And also, if they target the one in your hand and then there's a copy of it in the market, that copy in the market will be safe. All the ones in your deck will get frogged, but the one in your market will be safe. And this doesn't help with effects such as Evergraph, because they're simply preventing cards that have been named, so that won't stop that. And so temporary cards such as Boar can be saved by putting them in the market. So this is a very, very useful thing with cards such as Boar. I think Boar's probably the only one where you'd really do this. But you play the Boar, you market for the Boar, and then later on in turn we have another merchant. You play the Boar for however many attachments you want to remove, and then play the other merchant and put the Boar back in your market, and that will prevent it from being discarded at the end of the turn. So this is going back to the other point, but merchants can be used alongside smugglers, but it's still a black market. So you could have a deck with 5 Skycrag smugglers and then 5 of the blue merchants, and that'd be fine, but it's just still a black market, and you're only going to be able to pull the blue cards with the blue merchant. I think that's all we have here today, so thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you learned something from this and can understand the market a bit better.